That's it. We've seen all 11 cars for the 2026 Formula One season. We've previously looked back on some other videos to look at the other 7, but today we're going to look at the Williams, the Aston Martin, the McLaren, and of course, new contenders, the Cadillac. This is VFL. Yes, hello, good evening. This is a late one this week because Aston Martin have decided to delay their launch until this evening. So as I start to film this first bit of the video, we still haven't seen the Aston Martin. We've seen the race suits with both Alonso and Stroll in, but we're yet to actually see the race livery on the car itself. So Aston Martin's still pending, but as we go right now, I have seen 3 of the remaining 4. So let's get us going with the first one that was released this week, the Williams. And yeah, Williams. I mean, Williams have had their own problems. It's been well documented, and Phil touched on it in the episode that he did about the shakedown week in Barcelona. What was already starting to look like a difficult start to 2026 for Williams hasn't exactly been brushed aside with this livery. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm very aware that the way the stickers and paintwork and everything else is decorated onto a car has absolutely zero bearing to how that car is going to perform through the year. I get that. But with everything that we'd expected from Williams, and Williams have always given us some cracking colour schemes, some cracking liveries, and this is just... I don't even have words for it. It's just meh. And to be fair, based on some of the cars we've seen this week, these last 4 launches, that's a word I'm probably going to be saying quite a lot. James Vowles, however, on a little bit of a positive for the Williams. James Vowles has said that despite the rumours that Williams may come into 2026 slightly overweight, the team principal James Vowles has said that he has no concerns about the car. I wouldn't echo that. It's never a good position to be in when you're starting as problematic as the Williams appears to have been at the start of this shakedown week. And the idea of shakedown week was purely that, to shake away any reliability issues that the car may have, the new regulations, new power unit providers, whatever it may be. And the simple fact that Williams haven't been able to really do much with it, or if anything at all, is slightly concerning, I would suggest, for Williams that they're going to enter into this season. I have concerns for Williams. And if I'm honest, I can, unless something comes up, testing starts next week, unless there's something really that proves me wrong on that, it just doesn't look like a positive start. And the livery just hasn't done anything with it either. It's not a nice car. It's had problems in the start. I struggle. I'm concerned for Williams. I genuinely can see Williams being towards the bottom. We did touch on Alpine, saying that Alpine look like they may struggle, and yet all the data that's come out of their shakedown actually suggests that Alpine might be quite competitive and they might have got onto something. I don't think they'll break into the top 4, but I do think that they might be sort of thereabouts in the middle ground, and it might be that they take Williams' place. We're here to be proved wrong. These are predictions based on stickers on a car and what people did in an unofficial, untelevised shakedown, which was those things for a reason. It's not to test times. It's not really to do anything like that. But the simple fact that Williams haven't done that early mileage, it puts them a step back. That's, I suppose, the point I'm getting at. And I'm a little bit concerned for Williams, and doesn't seem like they've managed to get much right with this car so far. And again, I think the livery is just another thing. I had a look on social media just before I started filming this episode, and I do appear to be in the minority. I think there's a lot of love for this Williams livery out there. I'm just not one of them. It's not a great start to this episode. It's not a great start to this week of final releases. And that's that. Williams, if I'm honest, if I had to put my neck on the line now, I think they'll be down there with the new boys. I think they'll be struggling in and around the Cadillacs and the Audis of this world, personally. Audi didn't look great in shakedown, and Williams didn't even show up. So, unfortunately, not a great livery, not a great start to the season. I have concerns for Williams. And as a British F1 fan, I don't like saying that. Anyway, moving on swiftly, because the next one we had this week was Cadillac. And yeah, what? That's really Cadillac was a weird one when I saw the livery, because at first it's quite striking, and you think, oh, that's a really nice livery. It's a really nice car, and then all of a sudden you very quickly go, actually, no, it's not. It's They've gone for the asymmetrical look, the half and half. Mate, we touched on this with the BAR back in 1999, although that was a little bit more obviously half and half. This is kind of like a black and silver on one side and a white and silver on the other side, and I don't think it's worked. I think the amount of fuss that Cadillac made, the fact that the car was launched, I believe, in the middle of New York, but I can stand corrected on that. Um, they just made such a big fuss of coming into F1. They've got a great driver lineup in Perez and Bottas. They did better than we expected in the shakedown in Barcelona the other week, and yet they've brought this out, and it's just disappointing. It's really, really disappointing. Um, it's it's another one where I just find myself using the word meh. But bottom line, I suppose, is the color scheme and the stickers and everything else on the car. And I said at the start of the episode, it means absolutely nothing if the car is quick and is competitive. And again, as we said, Cadillac's probably main aim is to I would argue, to beat the Haas, Audi, sort of get themselves in a higher up than that, maybe start to push towards the Alpines, Aston Martins, and RBs. But it just isn't a nice car. It's not. It's really, like I say, it strikes you at the first view, and then very quickly that wears away. And you look at it and you just start to see that it's actually quite dull and it's actually quite boring. Anybody who's in the UK will know what I mean by this. It reminds me of our current weather: grey, overcast, miserable, boring. Anybody else who's watching this in sunnier climates, stop rubbing it in. But yeah, the Cadillac, it's not a nice car. However, the flip side to that, as Phil said in his episode last week, it does actually look like they might be onto something a little bit. They put some mileage on the Ferrari power unit. That's encouraging that has not seemed to cause them any problems so far, as it hasn't for Ferrari as well. A couple of thousand laps, I think the Ferrari guys did, I think, if I'm right in quoting Phil. So all in all, it's just an uninspiring start to what Cadillac are trying to do. But at the same time, if what they're trying to do is just be boring mid-table consistency, then the livery certainly fits that. As a prediction for Cadillac, I think me and Phil said it. I think the bottom line for them is they've got to try. They don't want to be last, but I think they want to be, of the 11 teams, I would say sort of 6th or 7th. I think that would represent a really good first season in Formula One. And I think it's achievable. I think they've made a good start. I think from what we've seen, I would put them ahead of Williams, as I've just touched on a minute ago. I would tentatively put them ahead of Alpine. I mean, you're still quite interested to see what Alpine have got. Maybe testing next week will give us a little bit more, because there's been a bit of whispering about Alpine. I would say that they'd want to be definitely above Audi and Haas. Haas, obviously, the American patriotic rivalry, and Audi, the new boy rivalry again. So I'd say they'd want to win them too. And anything other than that is basically success. I'm not expecting to see Cadillac win races. I'm not expecting them to see them on the podiums. But if they can consistently finish 8th, 9th, grab a couple of points, I think they'll be happy with that. But the car's uninspiring. It's quite dull. And it just looks really bland. I thought they'd come in with a big colour scheme. You should have seen it coming, because a lot of their advertising sort of promo stuff has been black and grey, and it's been quite dull. So we should have seen it coming. I did see a concept, actually, I'll try and find it, of a yellow Cadillac, and it looks so much better than what they've given us. And that's the problem with the internet these days. We're getting better suggestions from people who've got AI and stuff than we are from the actual teams. But so far, Williams, uninspiring, nothing really a great deal to it. Doesn't give any sort of sense of anything, and the Cadillac just doesn't. It's weird. We said when we referred to the Haas that Haas finally looked like they've put together a car that's actually a serious race car. This Cadillac just doesn't look like a serious race car to me. It doesn't. It looks. It's hard to put my finger on it, because it doesn't look like they've tried to over advertise and sell too much of the car to advertising, because that's certainly not the case. But then it just looks. It's honestly as if they forgot they needed a livery because they've done the shakedown without one. They tasked two people with rushing together a livery, and those two people just got the complete end of the stick, and they just morphed that together into one amalgamation of boring and dull and squeezed it together, and they've just got a boring and dull livery. So yeah, not inspiring from Cadillac, unfortunately, although the stuff that they've done on track so far is probably a little bit more of a positive than what their livery suggests. So that's what we've got so far. Williams is meh, Cadillac is meh. Moving on to McLaren. Yay, the McLarens, and it's meh. The one thing I will say about the McLaren actually is with the ban on too much carbon fiber showing, I did wonder if this was going to give us. We've seen the Haas is a lot more white than it's been previously. We've these teams that have previously covered up a lot of their car with the carbon fiber. McLaren didn't have the opportunity to do that this year, or the option to do it, because the carbon fiber must be covered. So I expected maybe that there would be more papaya. There's slightly more papaya than there was in 2024 and 2025, but not a lot. It's still quite black with flashes of papaya, and that's fine, because I was recently reminded of the 2018 livery that was completely papaya. And maybe it's just a memory of a terrible car back then, but it isn't the nicest car in the world. So the McLaren does need black on it. Black and the papaya, I think it matches really well. It just isn't. Again, it's uninspiring. And again, McLaren may win the constructors again for the third year in a row. They may win the drivers again for the second year in a row. They may go on and get more and more success. And if they do, I, as a McLaren fan, will not be sitting there going, yeah, but the car's not nice. So again, bottom line is, the way the car looks, there's absolutely no bearing. But I just don't think it's a very attractive car. I don't think it's really given us anything that sort of makes anybody stand up and take notice. It has the papaya flashes, but then it did last year. If anything, like I say, it's got a little bit more papaya. It's just, and they've done the same thing with the wheels, the Google Chrome wheels. However, Phil raised this point that the HP logo on the Ferrari is Ferrari pimping itself out to advertise for HP, and it has completely ruined, in my opinion, it has completely ruined what the Ferrari looks like. A great big blue HP logo on the side. McLaren haven't done that with MasterCard. There is MasterCard all over the McLaren, I accept, but I think the colour scheme of the red and yellow MasterCard logo in with the papaya and the black, I think it is okay. It doesn't seem, maybe I'm being biased, probably being biased, but it doesn't seem as pimping itself out as much as the Ferrari does to HP. Don't know if that's... be interesting to see Phil's take on that. But the McLaren is uninspiring. But again, from what we've seen from the shakedown, McLaren have done some decent mileage in the car, and there are a few bits on the car that is a little bit different. And this is what's interesting with the top four teams, before I go on to talk about Aston Martin. What's interesting with the top four teams is Ferrari, Red Bull, Mercedes, and McLaren. That's what I'm referring to as the top four. That has been the top four for the last couple of years. Each of them seem to have taken a different variation on the regulations. And if you've noticed, the McLaren seems to have a little bit of a wider front nose compared to the others. I'm not entirely sure. Obviously, it's design, it's intentional, but I'm just a little bit interested to see where that's come from. Andrea Stella has recently come out and said that McLaren are basically all but sure that any reliability issues that they may have had with the new 2026 regs have gone after shakedown. He is convinced that all right, you will have your standard reliability issues, but he's convinced that there is no more than what you can expect in any season. That's going to be interesting, and that fit worries me that might be something that comes back to bite him on the backside when McLaren don't finish any of the first four races. However, and maybe being a little bit pessimistic, I have no reason to be. We've been successful over the last couple of years. This car, it's fine. It's 2023 and 2024 again. It's fine. And that's it. Sorry to interrupt this video. We hope you're enjoying it, and we'll send you straight back to it in just 1 minute. But we have spoke for the last couple of weeks on how you can get your hands on the trading card with Jacques Villeneuve's Race 1 suit. So here is how you can get your hands on that prize.
Okay, firstly, I want you to like and subscribe this video. If you're not subscribed already, please, please subscribe. After that, will you go check out DT on this link down here? when it comes up. It should be up.
Yeah, it'll be there. It'll be there. Yep, it'll be edited in. And comment on this video and on any of our videos between now and the Australian Grand Prix. Make sure to comment DT Collects. It is written on the screen below you. That's DT Collects to get yourself in with a chance of winning the prize. And now back to the video. And now moving on to Aston Martin.
This is our most desperate hour. Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi. You're my only hope.
Yes, indeed. Help us, Aston Martin. You are our only hope to save what has been a relatively dull week in livery releases in Formula One. And I'm not entirely sure that you did. Look, we all know Aston Martin is purely class. It's elegance. It's cool. It's everything. You know, for Brits as well, it brings back the sort of the James Bond feeling of cool. The Aston Martin logo, the British Racing Green. It's meant to be cool. It's meant to be class. It's just meant to be. It's not meant to scream its name from the rooftops and say, "Hi, we're here." But I just find myself feeling a little bit deflated. Maybe I'm just in a bad mood. Maybe I'm just a miserable old man. Maybe I'm just sulking because the last 4 cars haven't exactly ripped the roof off and screamed, "Give me Formula One back." But the Aston Martin are just, I'm not, it's okay. Again, it's another one. It's either, it falls in between that bracket of meh and fine. The Williams and the Cadillac were meh. The McLaren was fine. This is sort of fine too. It's a nice car. There's nothing particularly wrong with it. I'm not exactly looking at it and thinking, my God, that's a beauty. And the reality is, every time we see an Aston Martin, despite how many times Lance Stroll chucks it into a wall, we normally think, even when it's a mangled mess at the hands of the Canadian, it's still normally quite a nice car. But there's just something about this one that I just don't think it's extremely attractive. It's fine. It's not offensive. It is what it is. The interesting thing with Aston Martin, though, and look, we've all spoke about this. Adrian Newey is a god when it comes to Formula One. When it comes to designing successful cars, you could go on for hours and hours and listing the success he's had. And there is a part that is incredibly interested to see exactly what this Aston Martin can do. There is a lot that has been said. There's a lot of rumours about just certain aspects of this car where he's gone a little bit mental, and he's either created something that's going to dominate the sport for the next decade again, or he's gone a little bit too far this time. I think it's probably closer to the former, in as much as he has previous. We know how good he is at designing a car. My question marks still stand on the Honda power unit. That's still a question mark. I still have question marks over the driver lineup, and this is, Fernando Alonso is a Formula One god, but everybody who's watched this channel regularly knows my opinion. I think he is past it. I think the time has gone for Fernando Alonso. Everybody who watches the channel regularly knows mine and probably the world's opinion of Lance Stroll. He is not a good Formula One driver. It's as simple as that. And as long as Aston Martin continue to, I think Adrian Newey could have built them a rocket ship. Fernando Alonso is not in the point of his career where he's going to compete for a world championship. I may very well be proved wrong on this, but he's not. Lance Stroll is not good enough to compete for a world championship. And so regardless of how good a car Adrian Newey has put together, regardless of whether or not Honda are more like their power units provision for Red Bull rather than for McLaren in recent memory, then I still don't think it matters. I still don't think you can give all the tools in the world to those 2 drivers, and I still don't think you're going to get a car that's going to compete. I would predict, and I said this recently, I would say that the Aston Martin will be around the RB, the Alpine potentially, because there's a lot of rumour coming out that that's going to be a relatively decent motor. In that sort of where Williams were last year, and I don't think where Williams will get this year, in that sort of 5th, 6th sort of bracket. I don't think the top 4 will be replaced as the top 4. Personally, I don't know in what order, but I think the top 4 will stay as the top 4. And I think Aston Martin, with a decent enough car, will be that one pushing to try and get into it. But I just don't think they've got a strong enough driver lineup. And I know I'm talking about a 2-time world champion. I know I'm talking about one of the best sort of technical drivers and whatever else that's on the grid at the minute. But I don't know. But we're here to talk about delivery. We're not necessarily here to talk about anything else on the car. And I don't think the livery's much. I think from the release pictures, and I must admit they've come out seconds before I've filmed the second half, so I haven't had a proper deep dive. But there's nothing on there from the rumours that Adrian Newey has built a rocket ship. There's nothing on there that I can see from the first initial look that maybe suggests that this is so far away from what we've seen from others. Now, this is a car design launch, so they may still be keeping stuff under wraps. I don't necessarily think testing next week is going to give us any indication as to what Aston Martin will show up at Australia. It's going to be a massive race, of course, the Australian Grand Prix, and it's going to be really interesting to see. But anyway, so that is it. The Aston Martin has completed the quadruple of uninspiring meh. It's fine. It is what it is. And that's it. Let me know in the comments if you think I'm wrong, if you think any of these cars are absolutely beautiful and I'm just being miserable. Let me know if you think I was expecting something outrageously unanticipated. I don't know. But anyway, please like the video, comment, share, subscribe. Let us know what you think in the comments. And we will see you when we do a recap on testing. That is next. So there'll be a video to recap what we see in the first weekend test. But for now, for me, see you later.